Hi, and welcome back to the Positive Prepper. If I get kissed in the face, it's because I'm being well protected by our German Shepherd, Bruno. He's right here paying attention to what Mom's doing. So, 4 weeks ago, and I really apologize that it's been so long, but 4 weeks ago I told you guys that, oh, see, there's one. That's Ivan right there. That's Ivan. I told you guys that the power grid going down was probably going to be pretty imminent. And based on current intel that I got a couple of days ago, I still believe this to be true. Now, I'm going to give you guys the information that I know, and I'm really having a hard time connecting all the dots, but I don't know if I'm saying that because I don't know if I'm right based on what I think, or if I'm really missing a bigger piece of the puzzle. So I'm going to tell you guys what I know. Put in the comment section below, please, what you think about this, and if I'm way off base, what am I missing? Any comments that you have about it would be greatly appreciated. So the first thing, the Canadian fires. So let's think about this for a minute. I was watching a geo satellite video of these fires in Canada when they first started. And I went in and I read a lot of articles and I listened to a lot of different people on podcasts and stuff. And there's a lot of people saying that these fires, several of these fires were lit simultaneously across the entire country of Canada. I don't find that very far-fetched. In my opinion, and again, this is what I want you guys to comment on. We already know that, so if these fires were deliberately set, let's pretend for a minute. That leaves kind of Alaska floating out there by itself, right? Apart from the US mainland. But we know that China and Russia are building up their Arctic bases, okay? So Canadian wildfires simultaneously lit, if that's true. Trudeau could then say that it is declare a national state of emergency, take control over everything, and supply chains, food, gas, all of that, and allow China and Russia to come across through Canada to get to the United States. Now, and I add Russia in there, although I'm still not convinced. But let's go with China. Would he do that to allow China to come through and get us from the northern border? I don't know. What are your thoughts? I was also told about explosions happening in Mexico. Well, we know why that's happening. So what's happening, there's gas pipelines that are being drilled into by the Mexican cartels. And for some reason, they don't understand that a spark in a gas line is going to cause an explosion. What they're trying to do is get into the pipelines to steal gas to continue funding or having the resources to keep them getting the money that they get to bring up the illegal immigrants, if that makes sense. And then you also have the volcano in Mexico that is on very high alert, and they're evacuating thousands of people. We have a very active planet right now. Here in Wisconsin, we are in moderate drought, and there's no meaningful rainfall in sight. But if the Mexican cartel is working, because they're bringing all these illegals to our southern border, that's how they're making their millions of dollars. They should be called a terrorist group. For some reason, our government just won't do that. And isn't it funny that these guys, a lot of them come across the border with their brand new t-shirts that say Biden on them, and they have new tennis shoes and cell phones and clothes and these beautiful backpacks, and they get to go wherever they want, right? Well, we know that George Soros is one of them that funds these groups coming up. Well, if you've seen recently, Kamala Harris had her picture taken with George Soros' son. Coincidence? I think not. That's my mantra. I don't believe in coincidences. I do not believe that these Canadian fires happening seemingly simultaneous is a coincidence, especially because in the northeast region where they're saying, well, it was massive drought and all the down stuff because of the storms, they weren't really in a drought. And lightning isn't going to hit all of these places. There weren't even thunderstorms in some of the places where they said lightning started the fires. So, and then we have fires also going in Mexico. And we have these pipeline explosions also happening. The other thing that I want you to think about too is these train derailments that I've talked about before. Again, these are not coincidences. I believe that these are planned. I also don't believe that they are chemical free. I believe that what they're telling us is that, oh, there's no chemicals to worry about. But the words ammonium nitrate is coming up quite a bit when you look up train derailments. So what is that all about? And again, I can't connect the dots. So you need to tell me what I'm missing. What haven't I looked for that I need to look for to connect all of these dots? A lot of the news sources are still really focused on the war in Ukraine and Russia. And they're also talking about, oh, this Chinese warship went through the Strait of Taiwan and, they came within feet of a U.S. warship and blah, 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 blah. They want us to stay focused over there so that we don't see what's happening over here. And our northern and southern borders right now, unless you want to go fight the Mexican cartels and unless you want to go fight forest fires, the United States right now, except for on the east and west coast, are pretty well closed off. What does that mean? I don't know. I'm just telling you what I know. I also know that I was told from my source, why haven't you guys listened? And you guys meaning like our mag group. And we said, well, we are listening. We are paying attention. We are preparing. And this person was like, you don't understand. Everything that's going to happen is going to start in the cities after the grid goes down. And it's going to expand out to everywhere. Nobody will be untouched. So what I got from that was the grid going down is going to be a planned event. And the other statement is, along with the grid down, is foreign military will be on our soil. Now we know that The UN troops have been here because they were looking at Minneapolis, St. Paul. They were looking at police brutality. Well, why, right? I think they're here in a lot more capacity than what people realize that they're here, okay? Now, so this is positive prepper, so I don't want to be all gloom and doom. But I do want to tell you that you still need to do all that you can to prepare for grid down. And I still do believe that it is imminent. You know, we carry our go bags, our bug out bags everywhere we go. We are armed everywhere we go. We are set and in place, I think, for what we need to be for when that grid goes down, and I hope that you are too. But all I can do is give you the information and hope that you take it and prepare yourself for it. I know that I'm missing something. I know. Stop looking at Ukraine and Russia, that war. That has nothing to do with what's going on over here. Stop looking at the Chinese warships in the Strait of Taiwan. That has nothing to do with what's over here. The other thing that just happened was, you know, Trump was indicted. We all know that's BS. Well, at least I do. I don't know what your opinion is. My opinion, it's BS. And it happened on the exact same day that the documents came out that proved that Biden had sold out this country. You can't make this stuff up. That's not a coincidence. In my opinion, there are never coincidences, okay? Something is coming. And the left will do everything that they can, everything, to keep the control. They want to, you know, if Biden's family got all this money from China, you know damn well that they are going to allow Chinese nationals in, which, by the way, have been coming through the southern border, along with a lot of other nationalities. I'm not saying it's just China. I work in a building that has 50 Hispanics right now, vetted, thankfully. But none of this is coincidence. What I can't connect the dots, however, on is the wildfires in Canada, the wildfires, the pipeline explosions in Mexico. You know, we have all of these volcanoes right now that are erupting. We have all these earthquakes that are happening in places, and we're blaming it all on climate change. Well, what better way to reset than to shut the power grid down and say, oh, and by the way, the aliens, of course, you know, the aliens knocked out our power grid. Anything's possible. We don't know from what direction it's coming. What I do know that is that it is coming, and you need to prepare for that. Now again, coming from positive prepper, am I worried? No. I'm ready, whether it's to meet my maker or fight the fight that comes afterwards. Am I scared? Yeah, because we all know, if you're not scared, you know that when SHTF happens, it's going to be 10 times worse than what you visualize. Okay? So here's a couple of things that I want you to keep in mind. And it's some things that I also discussed with my group, is that when the SHTF happens, if you are a part of a group, you know that your group is not the only one that has sat at that dining room table and talked about a plan. Okay? We have our plan. We know what our steps are to get to where we need to be. okay? But we're not the only ones. You're not the only ones. You are going to have other either individuals or groups that have a plan in place that might have thought about the same things you have thought. So when SHTF happens, I'm not going to say if anymore because it's going to come. When it happens, you need to understand that there are other groups out there implementing their plans as well. Okay? So be on guard. So if you have a plan, let's say, and I'm just going to throw this out there because this isn't part of our plan, but let's say that part of your plan is go to the liquor store and get as much alcohol as you can because it's a great bartering item. Okay? You have to understand that there are other groups that have thought the same way. So when you're going to that local liquor store and you see other people there, understand that probably some of those people had the same plan that you did. Sporting goods stores, again, okay, yep, go get that last minute ammo. There are other groups that are thinking and planning the same way. So you have to have another plan about how to determine who's doing the same thing you are and who are just the jerks out there trying to get, the ones that go in and steal TV sets during a flood. Okay, you need to figure out how you're going to determine who's who and what are you going to do about it. If you have other groups out there trying to survive with the same mindset, the same soul set that you have, what's your plan when you run into those people, right? All things to think about, but I wanted to get on here and it's been too long. But if you can somehow figure out how these dots are all connected, I think I have it in my head. If I'm going to lay it out there, all out there, I would say the fires were set deliberately. They're trying to block us in from the north and the south, right? They're going to let China come across Canada. The foreign military on our soil could either be China or the UN, with the grid down, with now Trump being indicted, and we know that Biden right now could actually be charged with treason, and I'll probably get kicked off for 2 weeks for saying that, but it's true. It's all happening, but they want us to keep our eyes over what's happening with Ukraine and China. And I don't believe that's where our eyes need to be. So pay attention. Okay, pay attention to those wildfires in Canada. Pay attention to what's going on actually in Mexico. And pay attention to how the DOJ and the FBI and those government agencies play this political card, because I think that's going to say a lot about what's going to happen here. Remember, though, that in the end, God wins. And folks like us, we're winning some of those battles more and more and more. But there's a long way to go. And I think that we're going to have a lot more to fight for in the coming weeks, survival being one of them. So let me know what you think. Connect those dots for me. If you think I'm way off base, if you have a different idea about what you think is going on, please post it. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for tuning in, and we value your opinion just as much as those that have been here for a while. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Let's try to get the word out there. People really need to start seriously prepping for that grid down situation. So God's got this. I'm not worried. I'm not scared. I'm ready. We're ready. Our group is ready for whatever comes. It's going to be worse than what we think, but I think that spiritually, soulfully, and mentally and emotionally, we're ready for it. So, as always, stay safe, stay aware, and God bless you all.